guys, Becky here, FiveTwoBaker. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you guys here today because we're going to be talking more about painting on cakes. But this week we're focusing on what happens if we mess up and why did we mess up. So let me show you the cake that we will be demonstrating this on. This here Snow White cake was a lot more trouble than I anticipated. I messed up on purpose on some spots, but not so on purpose on others. So we're going to go through really quickly, and if you have any other questions, if there's any other mess ups that you think happen, do let me know in the comments below or reach out to me and I'll try to troubleshoot with you guys. But let's get right to it. So if you're using an outline, you want to be careful where it is that you cut. Know that wherever it is that you do cut, your brush is going to draw outside of that. So if you cut outside of the outline and then you're painting outside of that, that's already 2 spaces further out that you've moved in your template. And so your proportions could be a lot bigger than what you expect. A lot of times you have to cut inside of the outline of your template. Now when you're painting, if you see that things are getting streaky and shiny or sticky, that simply means that you have too much liquid on your brush. So that's an easy fix. You just make sure to blot your brush every time before you go straight onto your fondant. You don't want to have that excess liquid because what happens is all that liquid and moisture is eaten by your fondant. It absorbs it, it begins to break the fondant down, and that sugar gives that streaky, gloppy mess. Now if you're lucky, you can let it dry and finish painting over it to cover over the shininess with the color that you're using, or you could try dabbing a little bit of cornstarch to absorb some of that moisture. But really, that's something that you want to avoid because sometimes you just cannot go back. If you see that it's dripping or you feel your brush tugging on the fondant, that's too far, stop and let it dry. Now if you're looking at your picture and you think it looks flat, it looks boring, well, no biggie, you just add more color to it. If you don't understand how shadows and highlights work, that's no biggie because you don't really need to if you just want to make it a little more interesting. So Snow White's dress, for example, it doesn't have any fancy shadows or highlights. All it has are 2 different shades of blue. And if you don't have 2 different shades of the color, you can simply make a darker version of it and a lighter version of it by either diluting it more or diluting it less. Adding those different shades of color will make your image look a lot more interesting and give it more depth. Even for a face like Snow White's that's supposed to be so fair and so bright, she has shadows, she's not flat. So adding a slightly darker brown to her face or adding just a few bits of red undertone help bring her to life so much more while still maintaining her fair white skin. Now if you just flat out mess up, know that fondant is very forgiving. Even when I use a color as dark as black on her hair, you can see that I'm wiping away the color. The way that you do this is you grab a clean brush, you dip it in your liquid, whether it be water or vodka. Alcohol will dry faster. And then you slowly and gently wipe away the color. You do 1 wipe away, you clean your brush. You do another wipe away, clean your brush. And always make sure to blot so that you don't leave big globs of liquid on your fondant. It may take some time, but you can do it and it's not very difficult. The only time you'll run into difficulty is if you let your colors dry on your fondant overnight. Then they will have set and it will be a bit more difficult. So hopefully you catch any mistakes before it gets that far. Once you've wiped everything away, make sure your fondant dries and then go ahead and add that color the right way. Now, if you're finishing up your picture like Snow White here and you're looking at your black and you're like, how do I add shadows to my black? Well, in this case you don't. You would just highlight it. You do the complete opposite. So for Snow's hair, it's so dark black, I really can't add shadow, so I'm adding some white to it to get different shades of black, and this is just going to help accent the fact that her hair is not one big strand of hair. She has multiple strands there. They're flowing in different directions. Certain parts of her hair are higher than others. That's what I'm creating with the white that I am blending into her hair. You don't want to just add the white and leave it there. You want to blend it in so it doesn't just look like white hairs. Now, if you come across a part that's white, such as Snow White's collar, you don't want to muddy up your white with dark shadows. So what you do is you take just a tiny bit of black or a tiny bit of blue, and your goal here is to create an off-white. And you use that off-white to lightly outline whatever it is that you're drawing and any parts that you want to really accent. So here with the white collar, I want to show that it has an arch, that it's bent over a little. So I go over those bent parts a little bit darker with my off-whites so that you can really see it. And while I realize that you can't see it on video right now, you will be able to see it later. Because it's white on an off-white fondant, it's not very noticeable. So what I do is I add a dark green background to Snow White so that you can see all of that hard work that I put into coloring her white collar, and really just add more color to the entire picture. And that's it, guys. That's all I have from this cake. If there's any other questions, please do drop them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. That would mean so much. And I will see you guys for the next video.